Part 4. Worldly Love. Love can conquer anything. Selfless, pure, unalloyed love leads the human being to God. Selfish and constricted love binds one to the world. Unable to comprehend the pure and sacred love, human beings today are prey to endless worries because of attachment to worldly objects. The man's primary duty is to understand the truth about the love principle. You listening? Once a person understands the nature of love, he or she will not go astray. The various contexts in which the word love is used today have no relation to the true meaning of love. The affection between a mother and child or between a husband and wife is incidental to a certain temporary relationship and is not real love at all. True love has neither a beginning nor an end. It exists in all the three categories of time: past, present, future. That alone is true love, which can fill the human being with enduring bliss. At the human level, love assumes many forms. The word love is used in common parlance in the context of the relations between mother and child, husband and wife, master and servant, the preceptor and the pupil. But this is not true love. It cannot be termed prema, love. It is only anuraga, affection. Prema can be applied only to the total love towards the divine. It is utterly selfless. It has not come from the world, nor has it fallen from the sky. It is sahaja swarupam, the essence of one's nature that expresses itself spontaneously without external promptings. Prema, love, and anuraga, affection, are one and the same, but affection, when it is directed towards worldly objects, gets tainted. Because of this pollution, joy and sorrow ensue. The human being becomes a prey to desires and disappointments. However, when love is directed towards God, it becomes pure, selfless, enduring, and divine. I think in part 2, I told a story about receiving a regression and experiencing ecstasy and bliss by directing my mental body towards the divine. And so once again, I do want to note that Satya Sai Baba was giving these speeches, for example, in 1990, like over 30 years ago, to an audience of mostly Indians and some Westerners. So, with all due respect, I do feel that presented to my audience, this can sound a little bit dated. But certainly, I had a challenge in first reading about Sai Baba and his work for that reason. By now I can perceive beyond the words, and so if you feel challenged at all by any of the words, just invite you to stay with the recording and just be open in your heart to feel and receive the message underneath those specific descriptions. That might be helpful. I keep checking my batteries. Still going, in case you're wondering why I keep looking down. There cannot be life without love. A small example to illustrate the point. This is a good one. I remember this. A mother had a son. He was 20 years old. After some time, her son died. Then the mother was wailing over the body of the son. "Oh, son, I was able to live as long as you were alive. How can I live now?" Such a type of grief is the result of attachment the mother develops towards the physical form of the son. It is not true love. What is important is love, but not love for the physical form. It is only those able to love for love's sake who can attain real love. Those who love the physical body do so as long as the body is present. Thereafter, the love ebbs away. Therefore, love for love's sake. Such love is life. That life is God. That is Atma Tattva, principle of Atma. Verily, Atma Tattva is the only reality. I feel that could be slightly controversial for some listeners, and certainly there's a time I would have found it controversial too. I mentioned in one of the previous recordings I wanted to be a psychic as a child. I was desperate to talk to the ancestors and be a medium. And by now, I've had the beautiful experience of recognizing that I always was. I was always talking to my ancestors. I just didn't trust my perception in receiving their responses. I've gotten better at that, and I can help you if you would like support to do the same. But we all can be in touch with our ancestors. We all can be in touch with the souls of unborn children. I know a lot of people who go through the pain of miscarriage, which is becoming more and more popular in the Western society. It is possible to be in touch with the soul of the child that did or did not come through and be birthed into the human body. There is always a deeper story. There is always a spiritual dimension to every experience that can teach you more about yourself and teach you more about life. And I know some people have a big resistance to that. I'm obviously someone who is very open to it. But the pain, sorry, battery flash up there, but the pain so many people go through related to death is a big opportunity for spiritual development, because the physical dimension is not really physical. Even scientifically, our physical body, everything that is supposedly material, is actually 1/1000th made of matter. That was proven in 1984 by Carlo Rubbia. It's the only scientific fact I ever remember. None of this is as solid as it seems. And so when someone leaves their body, departs their body, I love funerals. I love death as much as I love birth, and I love talking about it because I've had such a development in my life through being open to the experience of death and just talking, especially when my granddad passed away. And you know, as soon as you mention these characters, they're present with you. So my granddad passed away, and I just started to ask him and contact him and be, where are you? You know, I just spoke with him, and at the time I didn't trust myself at all in what I was perceiving. But looking back now, I was present with him as he passed. So we're all so multidimensional. There's so much for us to remember and recall when we recover from that spiritual amnesia. And this is the way. This is the way, is recognizing that that pain that we experience because someone is no longer physically here is an experience of untruth. And it's a pretty big one to acknowledge that just because you miss someone and you wish they were here, that doesn't reflect love. That actually reflects your attachment to the physical body and incarnation and version of that person. But there's so much more happening here. And a lot of my work is supporting people through very challenging moments in relationships and different experiences that can happen, to recognize that the love you feel and the attraction sometimes you feel, maybe to someone you're dating or barely know, is showing you something so much deeper about who you are and how life works. And it isn't really about the other person at all. I'm going to see if I can record the rest of this page before my battery goes. As a person grows from childhood to adulthood, his or her attachments change from the mother to friends to wife and children, and then to the acquisition of wealth. Sometimes, for men in modern Western society in particular, their attachment to their mother doesn't really wear off. Sorry, that was cheeky, but true. In the ups and downs involved in the pursuit of wealth, that person begins to feel the need for God. Not consciously a lot of the time. This perpetual alternation of attachment and separation cannot be called real love, which is spiritual and enduring. I will just make a point about that. I had a fear of growing up. I felt like growing up was a trap, so I went to live in the countryside with my boyfriend who felt the same way. We had significant Peter Pan syndrome. Very well-intentioned people, very sweet, very loving, very naive. And life makes you grow up, as I can now confirm. But in comparison to all my friends who have a mortgage and a fixed job and like multiple cars and children, when I ask them, do they feel grown up? I actually think, and I notice a lot of the time, I feel more grown up than them. And so for me, being a grown up is nothing to do with material level. Being a grown up is being mature, spiritually mature, like recognizing, especially that, like, everything I need is inside of me. The love that I've been trained to look for outside, I have to source here. It's the only way to really sustainably secure yourself in life. You can't secure yourself by buying a house. Mine burned down. There's no guarantee ever for anyone. You can't secure yourself with a job. Recession, boom, you unemployed, it's gone. AI, your job doesn't exist in 5 years' time. You can only secure yourself in your heart, knowing who you really are. And I don't mean knowing your birth name and what family you come from and that you are valuable and have worth. No, I mean like beyond this physical, like this is gonna go. This, your looks, everything is gonna go. That's not who you are. So spiritual maturity, investing your time and energy in that, top investment if you ask me. And the only way to really mature, and that's another thing that's really missing in our society. A lot of older people, and I love older people, love them. I volunteered when I was younger in an old person's home and had proximity to dementia and different things. We can talk about that another day, but the wisdom of our elders is not what it could be, because we have been raised in a society where spiritual development has not advanced, not significantly for a large portion of the society, and we need that to change. Equally, we need, and wise elders always recognize, that the youth and the younger ones carry their own wisdom, and we need a reflection between the two. I'm getting carried away. Let's see. Failing to understand the true meaning of this love principle, the human being is undermining his or her life. Everyone should realize that love is present equally in all beings, but this love assumes many different forms. When it is exhibited in different relationships in worldly life, the love between husband and wife is termed infatuation. The love between a child and mother is called maternal love. The love between kith and kin is called affection. The love towards God is bhakti, devotion. Each member of all living species has many-sided love towards offspring, parents, and comforts, and guards its food and drink, its joys and plays. Each of these types of love or attachment has a distinct name, suited to the objects on which it is fixed. It is called affection when directed towards offspring. It is named infatuation when directed towards persons who are less fortunate. Comradeship when flowing towards equals. Attachment when extended to goods or places. It becomes fascination in some cases, friendship in others. When it is directed towards elders and teachers and parents, it becomes reverence and humility. But bhakti is a word that is used only with reference to love directed to Lord. When this love is broken up into many streams, flowing in many directions and towards many points, it causes only grief, for it gets fixed on mortal things of the moment. Instead, allow the love to flow single-pointedly to the ocean of the Lord's grace. This is sadhana, spiritual exercise, called bhakti, devotion. Why waste life in the salty marsh of samsara, the world? Strive rather to reach the vast ocean of grace. There you realize yourself. You attain Sat Chit Anandam, being, awareness, bliss. How holy is that consummation, how filled with bliss. This is something I see in people's auras, in the way that we've lined up our energy. I talked before about bliss structures governing your behavior beneath the level of mind, running your energetic system, your subconscious, your physical body. We attach ourselves, bond ourselves to other people, mostly in wanting to belong. We're like trees who take our roots and plug them into other people's roots, so that when they shake, we shake. If there's an issue in the dynamic, we feel ungrounded. I know from experience how uncomfortable that is. So again, when I talked about developing a security in this world, you cannot develop a security in anyone else, in any relationship dynamic, no matter who they are, no matter how compatible and loving your dynamic is. They will not be with you forever. You came in alone, you're leaving alone. And this maturity of the self, this love of the self, is nothing to do with pampering or loving the body. It's connecting to who you really are. So for me, again, regaining your inner sight, your light perception, you can see for yourself and feel for yourself when and where you have dispersed your energy, scattered your energy, and fixed it not only in relationships to others and your family, your friends, etc., into authorities like doctors, natural healthcare, healers, psychics. When you're plugging in to the power offered to you through someone else, you are missing an opportunity to plug into the power that you are. And I use those examples especially in healthcare and, spiritual connection, because when you're outsourcing instruction, we're just trained to do it and it's so normalized. But what you're trying to achieve is what's achieved in here. So if it works, like facial reflexology is something I still teach because it works. These are rituals. Anything you're doing, whether you're taking chemicals from the doctor or herbs from the herbalist or going for foot reflexology sessions, whatever you do to fix a problem, whether you go to a therapist or a counselor, whatever you're doing, It's a way to make a shift inside of yourself that will actually provide the transformation. The more direct route is to make the shift inside of yourself, and ultimately your power and your potential for harmony comes. This is just the V line that everyone should make, is plug into who you really are. Plug into love. That is the power that heals everything. That is the power that brings harmony to your health, to your work, to your family, to your relationships for 360 degrees. Okay, last paragraph. A life without love is meaningless. The more you love, the more it grows. True love should be distinguished from attachment, either to persons or to things. Attachment is based on selfishness. That's a big one, because a lot of people pleasing and good girl empathetic behaviour is actually described in that sentence. It's attachment, and attachment is based on selfishness. Love, meanwhile, is based on selflessness. Love is the fruit which is born from the flower of your good deeds. Only when we engage ourselves in selfless service can we experience the essence of this pure love. That was said in 1985. And so again, there seems to be a contrast there when I mention the conditioning of, which is what I work with a lot, good girl, people pleasing, overgiving. This is not love. Again, the heart, and really taking instruction from this and dismantling your conditioned structures in your body, bringing yourself back to leadership from the heart rather than the head, will actually naturally, without needing to think about it, support your boundaries, prevent you from overgiving and depleting yourself in the name of love, being too nice or too good, which I think if you're here, you know by now can be a big issue, can make you sick in the long run. And the recognition in that paragraph is so useful, because overgiving, depleting yourself, which is what so many women are doing. It's why married women die younger, are more depressed, and all these other statistics are evidence of the issues connected to our conditioning in terms of what we consider love to be and to look like. But actually, real love is selfless. So there's a calculation along the lines when we are being overgiving. And that's something huge to take responsibility for, because we often victimize ourselves when we've been the person who's overgiven, when we've been the person who has only been nice to someone who has really been wicked. I've been there. But life, life will show us that that is not the way to live. And life does not favor distortion in any form. So the recognition, the responsibility that I am victimizing myself, I am operating against myself, I'm operating against love when I people please, when I overdo my good girl behavior, and that there's something I believe I'm going to get from that. In these bliss structures, there's a kind of taking, usually of an idea of yourself being good or correct. And once you start to correct these distortions, you can see that more easily, and you can recognize and take responsibility for your own patterning, which, yes, attracted people who helped you to recognize it, but also be thankful that you can release those tendencies and acknowledge that they are not love and they are not natural. But real love will take care of that for you, and will take care of you and everyone around you as well. Okay, Dependence, that's the word. Real love will break down attachment and dependencies, and you do not have to think about it. Thank you for listening.